Okay, so in this video I want to answer the question, is this app I'm about to show you the perfect bullet journal app? And what I'm about to do is basically just use the app and go through every aspect. I've structured the video into 4 parts. The first one is the purpose. I'm going to explain to you why I've created this video. Then we'll go into the introduction where I feel like I have to recap what the bullet journal methodology works like, but also what the philosophy of the bullet journal is and whether we can translate it into this app, because the bullet journal is a philosophy. It is sort of a movement and a concept. So this is really important to me. But if you want to skip the second part or the first parts, you can just jump to the setup and see how I create the bullet journal within this app live. So no offense taken, just jump around wherever you feel like, because I'm going to do everything in one recording. I'm a bit lazy. And the third one, or the fourth one actually, will be the summary. And the summary, the idea here is to show the similarities of the two concepts, but also the differences that definitely exist, and that, for example, in my opinion, make this app even better than the actual bullet journal. And my idea here is that you will come to an educated decision, and that's the goal, whether this is also for you the perfect bullet journal app. So why are we here? You might be a fan of the bullet journal already, and there's reasons for that. So what it does for me, for example, is it helps me order my thoughts, calm my mind. I get to plan ahead, which I usually don't. It helps me reflect on life, increase my productivity, and to be honest, my general overall happiness. So the bullet journal by itself is already magic. There's good reasons why it's become so popular and why it's become such a movement, an offline movement, to be honest. And I really like that idea. So the main question here is, can we translate all of those parts of the why we love the bullet journal into a digital version? And this is what I want to answer. So why are you here exactly? You might just be curious and want to see if there's actually something out there that can work like the bullet journal but online. But I gotta state or show a quick disclaimer here. This app is not the bullet journal companion. I think it's way better than that. And this app is not like GoodNotes. You'll see by yourself if this actually works for you, or if this is the kind of thing you want to do. By the way, I'm going to leave a link down below, so if you want to give the app a try, maybe even while watching, just click the link and sign up. But maybe you're also unsatisfied with the bullet journal and you think, well, I love being offline, but most of my life happens online now, and I want to switch to an online version. And third possible category would be that you'd say, well, I'm very happy with the bullet journal. I just want something to back it up digitally that maybe isn't Notion or isn't already, I don't know, already used in another form or way. So what I'm going to do is basically compare the bullet journal with all of its parts with this app. And you see it already in action, so let's continue. Let's look at the bullet journal first. The bullet journal is really a methodology, and the methodology can be sort of like separated into different parts. At first we have the signifiers, which is something like a visual indicator of the taxonomy, and I might display some more contextual pictures here in the video. So of course we have the task, which is a main element of every day. Then we have the note. I mean, migrating tasks, I would just skip that here. You already know all this, but I'm just going to repeat it one more time. The note, which is more reserved for thoughts or something like that. Then we have the circle, which is for events that take place that are mostly related to maybe gathering, meeting other people, stuff like that, or like bigger events in your life. And if you want to add something like a further indicator, you can add a priority. There's even more things, but those keys or signifiers are one of the main elements of the bullet journal, and we're going to look how we can duplicate or translate this into this app here. Then of course we have the different kinds of pages, like the index, the daily log, the future log, the monthly log, and all those collections. And either we jump around or I'll show you how to create this, but the index basically is a table of contents to navigate your bullet journal. I'm just going to show you an example here. It usually is structured by showing the page where it is and the contents of the page. So why do you need an index? The index is necessary because you are restricted to a book, to a journal, and in order to be continuous with your journal, you have to jump sometimes. And in order to jump, you need a table of contents to find the stuff again. This is good and bad. I mean, it creates friction, which is bad and good at the same time, but also it makes you browse. And this is something that we will not have or have differently in this app, but I'm going to jump to that a bit later. Then, of course, we have the daily log, which means you're basically just rapid logging everything I've explained here in the index already. Sorry, not in the index, but in the signifiers already. You just write it down for a specific date. Whatever goes through your head, whatever tasks you have, whatever events take place. And this may look something like that maybe, but I'm going to display another picture side by side. The daily log is the heart of the bullet journal. And this will also be the heart of the app we're going to look at. And next we have the future log. In the future log, this is, again, we're looking at restrictions here. You need a future log because certain things cannot go in your daily log. If you want to plan ahead without reserving any pages, you need a future log to write down whatever thoughts or not thoughts, but like tasks you have in the future. So the future log is a different concept that you may not need or not need in the same way within the app, but I'm going to explain this when we set it all up. And almost lastly, we have the monthly log, where you get a good overview of your calendar and things that will happen that month. Again, a few examples here, but I'm going to display them side by side, as I said. And of course the collections, which are another major part. And by the way, I'm showing this all in the same hierarchy. What I can do, for example, if we go to monthly log and in this app, I can also zoom into all those so you get a better overview, but this is not really important. This is more an overview. And yeah, we've talked about the collections where you can have other topics that might not fit into everything I've explained already. And there you can get creative and really, yeah, write about a topic that is of interest to you. For example, maybe you want to make like a friends collections, you want to write down goals, trips, you're having maybe a book list or movie list. Those are the popular ones. And all this, why I'm explaining or recapping all this is I want you to be able to create all this within this app as well. You don't want to miss on any feature, on anything that the bullet journal already has, which was why I wanted to recap this real quick. And if I try to analyze what we're actually doing in the bullet journal, I would say those are the main tasks. You do the log creation, may it be the daily or the monthly, whatever it is. There's like a process of creation. Then there's a process of planning, which you often would do with pen and paper by planning ahead, but just planning in general is a big part. Then, of course, reflecting. The great thing about the friction I've mentioned, where you have to skip on certain pages or something, this actually makes you browse the content more often, and by that it actually helps you also to go back in time and reflect on whatever you had in your mind. And of course there's migrating, again a bit of a friction. Once you, for example, haven't done all the tasks, you might want to move them to another day, another week, another month. This is very much connected to reflecting, but also to log creation and planning. So you see how thinking and writing is the next one, is very much interconnected here. And we'll see all this in the app here as well. Then, of course, we have updating, which means, or in a way, it's related to all of those. Maybe migration, for example, is in a way also a way of updating. And one that you might not have in the app, but that's like a given, is the decorating or the customization. We have customization, but pen and paper is very different, and if this is for you and you enjoy pen and paper, I guess you will look at this video anyways. So yeah, that's the methodology. Let's get into the philosophy, and this is important to me. I know this is quite the long intro, but again, if you want to skip it, do it at any time. I think it's important. So Ryder Carroll calls, the creator of the bullet journal, by the way, calls the bullet journal a mindfulness practice disguised as a productivity system. And you'll see how that is very much the case for this app as well. It's designed to organize your what while remaining mindful of your why. This is the main concept. This is the main philosophy. Personally, I think the bullet journal for me is getting things out of my head, making them visible, so I can see what's going on in my life and then start taking action, making plans in a way that aligns with my goals and values. This is what I can do in the bullet journal, and this is what I want to be able to do in an app as well. So the biggest difference, or another big difference for me is, and why I love the bullet journal, and I still do, and I still use it sometimes, is it forces me to be with myself and the bullet journal. Just me, the pen, the paper, and the bullet journal. There's nothing else distracting me, and this is what I love, and this is what I need in the app as well. And for the first time, I actually think this app is, once you use it, it may feel a little similar like paper. So in terms of philosophies, they very much align. This I'm not going to go into too much. This is already related to the processes I've mentioned. So yeah, I would say we have a good overview. Let's get into setting it up. Let's actually do whatever I have already explained. So let's begin with the month. Right now it's April, so I'm just going to write down April. And what I do by intending or indenting, that's the right term actually, is I can create another date below that. So this is already a difference that you see. We can work with hierarchies. So if I type in, oh, give me a second. No, let's continue. If I type in today, the app actually really suggests to me today's date. So I can just write that one. This is very similar to log creation and daily log. And now if I indent it again, I can start writing. So for example, like create this video recording is what I wanted to do. Then I'm going to meet a friend. We're going to go to the flea market. So create this video recording is, for example, something that I would consider a task. So what I can do is I can just write down /to-do and I can make this a task. Then of course meeting a friend for the flea market is an event. So this way I would say, let's call it an event. Then I had a thought, for example, this morning that I want to limit all the devices I have to certain tasks. So I had an idea to limit purpose, one device. And if I think it's a thought, usually I just keep it that way. I'm not going to add another tag, but if I want to, I can create a tag and call this an idea if I want to find it later, or maybe a thought, maybe both, whatever I want. So already you see this is something new. We can actually create tags, and this will help us big time in the later stages where we look at the differences of the apps. So I would say this actually looks like a proper daily log already. I mean, we just have 3 notes, but so far so good. Let's have a look at other things that might come up. I mean, we have the events, we have a thought, we have the task. This basically sums it up. But let's say, okay, now we have the idea to meet a friend in the future. We just had a call. My friend Ilka called me, so I had a nice chat with Ilka. Then I can do something that is also very much amazing. I can just say @Ilka. And this time this will create a tag, but this tag I use more for people, for persons. So later on I can filter to find everything I had in my bullet journal that is related to my friend Ilka. So nice chat with Ilka about, let's say, friendship. But we planned on meeting again in a couple of weeks, so, or like in a week. Let's say that's the example. So what would I have to do in the bullet journal? In the bullet journal now, I would have to go to the future log and write down that I'm going to meet my friend then. But what we can do here is we can pre-prepare actual more dates. So I just say like April 3rd, and I can already start creating all the dates I want to have. So again, there's shortcuts to do that, but oh no. There's shortcuts to that to create more dates at the same time. But then again, this is friction, and friction sometimes is good for you. So yeah, I can just continue doing that. Then I could, for example, say, well, I'm done with April. Maybe let's go to May. What did I do? No? Okay. And then I can start creating 1st of May and so on. Oh yeah, it's called Mai in German. That's why I might make a mistake here. But nevertheless, let's continue. So what I can do now is, this is such an amazing thing. I can just drag and drop things. So for example, let's say I'm going to have a call, or maybe I'm going to have another meeting. So it will be an event again with Ilka for coffee. And this time we've decided after the phone call that we're going to do all this on Tuesday. I just drag and drop here. And already you see there is no need to actually create a future log if you know the exact date. But what happens if you don't know the exact date? Well, if you really need a future log, you can just create one. You can just say, okay, this is the future log for May. And whatever I have in mind, I can already write down here. So let's say I want to go travel to Sweden for 2 weeks, or let's say that's like too long. I would know when exactly, but maybe like 7 days, right? So I can just write this down in my future log, and I can already also decide on the taxonomy of it. So what is this? This is a task. I've created a to-do, and well, actually this is an event. I wasn't exactly correct. So let's remove the to-do part, and maybe I have to do some planning to do all that, but the planning wouldn't happen in May. Maybe it would happen someday soon. So maybe I write it down here already. The way I use it is, instead of using a future log, which is perfectly fine, is I already try to pre-schedule everything on a certain date. And if I don't do it on that date that I've decided upon previously, is then I migrate it. So migration is also a thing. For example, let's say recording this video didn't happen today on the Sunday. I might say, well, I'm just going to migrate it to the other day. And well, personally, I don't do that, but migrating, you can also leave a visual indicator. And if you have migrated things more often, you can also add those indicators. So migrating by itself, again, is a process that needs a little bit of friction, but still it works just as fine in the app, just by drag and drop. How amazing is that? So yeah, let's look at what we already had and maybe what I am missing right now. So let's look at the processes again, the methodology. So we have, oh yeah, the index. Let's look at the index. So far we've only created months and days. But what if we want to create a collection? Of course I could, the same way I did. I can either use this whole bullet journal as a calendar, but I could also just say, well, everything you look in here on this overview is already some kind of collection. I have collected the intro, I've collected bullets for other parts. So in a way, what I could do is I could differentiate between a calendar for the daily logs, monthly logs, and so on, and collections by simply putting the collections outside of the calendar. You know where I'm going with this? So I could say, let's add a habit tracker here. But then you would see, well, what does the habit tracker have to do with April and May? It doesn't really fit. That's why I keep things separate. That's why the bullet journal for me is more of a calendar setup, while the collections are other parts of the app I'm using. And again, if you want to try it out, download it or just sign up. You can use it in the browser. I have the link below in the description. And yeah, let's look it up one more time. What else did I maybe forget? We had the index. I've told you the index, there's no need because we don't have the limitation of browsing through different pages. So this is covered. Oh yeah, by the way, this is an amazing thing. Once I did something, I could also cross it off, and maybe if I want to, I can even make it collapse so I don't see anything that I've already crossed off. We've talked about the daily log, which I have set up. We've talked about the future log that I have set up as well. The monthly log, you've also seen that one already, and the collections, what I just did at the habit tracker, is also already existing. Let's add another collection, maybe like friends, for example. I could say, well, I have tier 1 friends, I have tier 2 friends, I have tier 3 friends, and I could just begin working with hierarchy, which, by the way, we're not able to do with the bullet journal. So collections we also covered. The processes are all in there. We've talked about log creation, well, planning, reflecting, and the other parts are not, but I would say this would just expand this video too much, so we're going to skip on those. And yeah, you've seen it in action. I mean, look at it. We can use it all, do it all in here, and let's get to the final part. Let's look at the summary. So what are the main similarities? You've already seen that this app is not trying to be a bullet journal app. It's actually its own app, and it has its own methodology, but the methodology of the bullet journal and this app are so similar. They're so interchangeable that you can use it in here as well. And this is what I love. And yeah, they're both highly customizable, so you can really drag and drop, change things, change structures, and just make it your own, which will be important later on. And or later on, let's say, it's actually important for self-discovery. The more time you spend within this app, the more you're going to discover what's important to you. And that in a very structured way, because it's not dependent or like limited to pages where you have to browse through, but you can go as deep. You can zoom in as much as you like and zoom out again. And that's like one of the bigger advantages. But let's keep it, we're at the similarities here. So both are highly customizable. You are able within this app. I mean, I don't even know, we're like at 24 minutes now. I'm just looking at this app and talking. That's all I do. And once you start working with it, you will see that you can be very much alone with your thoughts within this app. There's no pop-ups, there's no other windows. If you're in this app, you're in this app. And that's why I feel this is really like paper, which is like the last one. It very much feels like paper as well. And it is customizable or very individual in the way that you make this app your own, just as with the bullet journal. And this is maybe this is the main thing. This app is just a methodology. There is nothing where this app tells you where to keep what in what way. You can make it adapt to your life and your individual preferences. And this is what I really, really love. So there's a bit more. Both have a strong community, the bullet journal community as well as this app's community. We're very much in touch. Everyone is talking about what we can do or change and stuff like that. So I'm part of the community as well. And as you can tell, I'm a big fan. And yeah, those are the similarities. Those are the things they have in common. Let's now look at the differences, and then we're going to sum up so you can make a decision if you want to give it a trial. The one difference is you will not need an index. Everything is already, and this is what I meant when I said like zooming in and out. You decide on what you want to keep on the highest level. And therefore, the highest level will just be your index already. There is no need for creating an extra index. Then, of course, for the same reason, you might not need a future log. You can use one. I use it, for example, that I just put the task on a date and then migrate it more often if I didn't do it already. But you can also just add a future log if you need one. So this is like optional. Then one of the big differences here is you can work with hierarchy. And this is the limitation a paper or anything with paper has. It's very hard to, you cannot really zoom in. But here, as you can already see by me using the app all the time, is we can create a hierarchy that goes as deep as we like. Like there's an endless hierarchy if we want to. This is why this concept of app is called an outliner. You can create unlimited outlines. And this is important or different, that this helps you to think structurally. This helps you with structured thinking. And this, again, is very much connected to the philosophy of Ryder Carroll. He says it's a mindfulness practice disguised as a productivity system. You learn a lot by using the app. It's crazy how much you understand yourself and your thinking better by just using it and then structuring while writing. It's a crazy process, and I'm going to create more videos if you'd like to, but this is a major one. This is a big one. Another one we have is search. Well, with the bullet journal, you would have to browse. There's no way that I could just, so for example, up here in the search type in at Ilka, right, the friend, and just by typing it, I would see everything where my friend is being mentioned. This is a big one, so search is a major difference, and I use it a lot, and it's one of the reasons why I think this app is actually better connected to hierarchy and structural thinking. Then we have the possibility of sorting. This again, it might feel like a minor thing, but oftentimes in bullet journal you go into chaos mode where you're just like writing down things. But what you lack then is to say, well, I want to do this first. So then you would have to use an like signifier, like this is important. But what I just do is I just drag it to the top, because the top is always where I start reading. So sorting and creating another hierarchy, again, is one of the major differences. Then this might be amazing for some, sharing. There's certain things that, I mean, all of it is personal, all of it I use for my personal life, but I also use it for my business life by now. And this is of course very similar to the bullet journal. You just put your whole life in there, and there are certain things that you want to share with others. So sharing is an easy thing you can do. You can just tap on the icon here and then either invite people or share a link, and you can decide on if you want to should be an admin or if they can only view whatever list you've created. And yeah, so then we have file upload, which is also great. You can upload a whole PDF in here. You can add pictures to it. So there's like endless possibilities. We have multi-device, which means I can just use the same thing on my computer as well, on my iPad as well. So like I have everything with me all the time. And this might actually be, for example, if I look at it, I would drag this up way here. Because for some, the limitation of having a book and maybe having it or forgetting it somewhere, but having the access to all your notes all the time, everywhere, even if you, like you could just travel to another country, log in at another friend's computer and be with your like digital bullet journal again. So we have collaboration, file upload, we have tags that I've shown you already. The tags are the reason, or for, I would say the tags are just like a translation of the key. So we don't have many different bullets. As you've seen already, we have like the to do, which is like the only major one where you actually create a more like visual indicator. But other than that, you can say event, or you can say, if you would like to, you can also say to do that way. So the tags are the keys, but they also enable to you to do way more. For example, if I say event or press event as a tag, I can just let it show me all the other events I have going in my bullet journal. So this is very much connected to search, or to finding things and rediscovering things, as we've seen before, is also a big part of the bullet journal. Then there's endless collections. You can go as long as you want. You will never be full in here. And then there's some more. There's linking. I will maybe only show linking in here. I could just say, what was I about to do? I wanted to go to a flea market, of course. So if I would want to, I could create a link to this event, but also I can start linking things to my collections. So maybe the habit tracker was one, and I could just link to the habit tracker over here, and by clicking it, I'm just in there and I see the backlink. So this is for some of you who are very familiar with the digital scope, big things. For others, this has nothing to do with the bullet journal. There's like even more differences, but this video is getting out of hand already, so let's keep it short. I think you must have a good overview of the methodology, the philosophy, the different elements that define the bullet journal, and you by now have an idea of what you can do with this app. So my suggestion would be, there's no way to decide by now. The only way to actually come to a decision is to download the app, to sign up. It's completely free, and it can stay free forever if you don't add too many bullets. So just use the link in the description, sign up below, and then if you'd like, give me a comment. Just comment on the video. Why do you think is this app better or worse than the actual bullet journal? And I hope I could help you out. I hope you have had a good intro into what's possible in here. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I see you in the next one.